For other international news now, we look to Israel-Palestine, where less than 24 hours after a ceasefire was reached with Palestinian leadership, the Israeli army violated the agreement, shooting and killing a Gaza fisherman. Gaza's health ministry identified the victim as 20-year-old Nawaf Ahmed al-Attar, a young man who was just under 100 feet out at sea when Israeli soldiers fired on him, according to the Gaza Fishers Union. The killing comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing rising anger from political allies and constituents for his decision to reach a peace deal with Hamas following an Israeli invasion of the Gaza Strip on Sunday. As we reported earlier in the week, Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman resigned from Netanyahu's cabinet in protest of the ceasefire. He also announced his right-wing Yisrael Beitenu party will exit the prime minister's ruling coalition, raising the possibility of government collapse. In Israel's southern city of Ashkelon, citizens rallied to call for the prime minister's resignation.
The residents of Ashkelon have been suffering for years, over 10 years of suffering with the rockets. We have no energy left to deal with the regime that simply doesn't care about the South. We have been silent for years and years, but we will not stay silent anymore.
Meanwhile, here's what residents in Gaza had to say.
The coward Lieberman came threatening, and he said in his election campaign that if he becomes the defense minister, he will kill Ishmael Haniyeh within 24 hours. He became the defense minister. What did he do? He became the trash of the history, the political trash of the history. He fell, and Hamas stayed.
With the Gaza ceasefire in question, we're joined now by Israeli human rights activist Miko Piled. He's also the author of Injustice, the Story of the Holy Land Foundation 5. Welcome to In Question, Miko. What does this killing of a Gaza fisherman tell us about the meaning of the word ceasefire when it comes to the Gaza Strip?
Israel doesn't know what ceasefire is. Israel has never respected any of the ceasefire agreements it ever signed with the Palestinians. They violated every single one. So this is really nothing new. And I think the world should be watching, and the world should be paying attention, because just as we heard, there might be elections in Britain very soon, and Jeremy Corbyn's, one of his most prominent promises is to stop selling arms to Israel because of its human rights abuses, because of its misuse of the arms that it's being sold in Gaza. So this is, I think this is something that the world needs to pay attention to, certainly here in the United States, in Europe. Countries that sell weapons to Israel need to realize and start to act on this, because Israel does not respect ceasefire agreements or any other agreements for that matter.
This ceasefire was declared after Palestinian fighters successfully targeted a bus of Israeli soldiers with a Coronet rocket, that's what they're saying it was, which the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah says it gave Hamas. What did this operation tell us about what a future war with Gaza would look like for Israel?
Well, there's also this covert operation of Israeli ground forces that went into Gaza and got their backsides kicked
But this may have pushed the Israelis to say maybe we shouldn't escalate here if they can hit us back.
Well,
no?
Exactly. Both of these, I think, show that Israel does not want face-to-face confrontation with Palestinian fighters. In the operation in Gaza, they lost a lieutenant colonel, which is a very high rank, and this is an officer that was killed. It's quite rare that an officer of that rank gets killed. And I think, as they learned in South Lebanon, they do not want a face-to-face or troop-to-troop confrontation with Hezbollah either, because these are very dedicated fighters. And so then they resort to bombing from the air. They've got all the firepower. They don't need to risk this kind of humiliation. Palestinians are determined to fight. You know, they're determined to fight and defend themselves.
And if they're getting more advanced weapons, it seems like Israel may have to be concerned about their striking capabilities if they continue bombing parts of the Gaza Strip. How significant of a blow to Netanyahu is the resignation of Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman? Do you believe the governing coalition will last?
Well, I was in Jerusalem just last week, and I did visit the Knesset, met with some members of Knesset, and elections were already in the air. The sense that elections are coming up was already in the air. I think Lieberman is making a big mistake, and as the other parties, if they think they're going to defeat Netanyahu. Netanyahu is the most seasoned and certainly the smartest politician in Israel today. He has a record which no Israeli prime minister had, or ever. The recognition of Jerusalem, America pulling out of the Iran agreement, and on and on and on. And so and the good relations, very good relations, openly good relations with Arab countries, better than they've ever had. So it's going to be very difficult for anybody to challenge him, and I think they're taking a risk, and they're making a big mistake if they do call elections, because he will come back, and there's a good chance that he'll come back even stronger.
Why do some Israelis support a full-scale war in Gaza at the moment? What is your response to citizens from Israel, like the ones we just heard, who say, what about the rockets we're dealing with in the south?
Well, I think if they're absolutely right to be angry, and they're absolutely right to want to see the rockets stop. Where they're misguided is, where the anger is targeted. The problem is the people in Gaza, 2 million people living in a prison, without access to medical care, without access to water, without access to proper food, without the ability to travel, and they're constantly being bombed by Israel. So that is the problem. I think what they should be calling for on the Israeli side is to free Gaza, to open up Gaza, to allow the refugees to return, to repatriate, to rebuild, and then everybody can live in peace as they deserve to. But to demand more bombing is, of course, the wrong approach.
What will you be watching for in coming days to see how this situation develops? Do you think it will escalate further, or just kind of peter out?
Well, it seems like everybody chose to not escalate at this point. Although with elections impending, attacking Gaza is good for politics, is good for elections. And Israel attacks all the time for whatever reason it wants, for elections, for any other reason that they might feel it would serve them. So it's hard to say. But I think with elections coming up, the Palestinians in Gaza have a lot to worry about.
Even under a ceasefire agreement?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Miko Piled, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.